Hey everyone, ready for something kind of spooky? We're going to be talking frequencies today.
Ooh, frequencies.
Yeah,
Sounds interesting.
it's pretty wild. We're going to be looking at Trey Smith's YouTube video frequency.
Okay.
It's got some pretty out there stuff in there, so we're going to kind of like break it down, you know, look at it with a critical eye, see what's what.
Yeah, makes sense. Some of those claims can be a bit much. Gotta be careful.
Totally. Right off the bat, he drops this quote from Niels Bohr.
Okay.
It's everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real.
Whoa.
Right. It makes you think, huh, what's really going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, for sure. Like, what's the stuff that we can't see but is making everything happen? It's
Yeah.
kind of like that idea from Hebrews.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hebrews 11.1, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Hmm. Interesting. We're talking about forces we can't directly see, but they might be influencing us.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Tesla. He was kind of obsessed with energy and stuff.
Yeah, the electricity guy.
Right. He said if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration.
Okay. Wow, coming from him, that's pretty big. I mean, he was a genius, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing with quantum physics that he was right on the money.
So hold on. Before we go any further, can we break it down? What exactly are frequency and vibration?
Sure. So basically, everything in the universe is always moving, right? Everything is vibrating at a certain speed. And that speed, that's the frequency.
Okay, it's like the heartbeat of the universe.
Yeah, something like that.
I kind of get it, but can you give me an example?
Sure. Think about music. Different notes have different pitches because they vibrate at different frequencies. Like a high note is vibrating faster than a low note.
Oh, like a higher pitch means it's vibrating more intensely.
Hmm.
So it's not just sound, right? What about light?
Yeah, different colors
Hmm.
of light, that's just different frequencies of light waves.
So red is like a lower frequency than blue. Whoa, okay. So frequency is literally everywhere. And if everything has a frequency, including us, do they like interact with each other?
That's the big question, right? And that's
Okay.
exactly what Trey is exploring in this video.
Yeah, and he starts with this crazy story about his mom. She had terminal cancer, and he says she basically cured herself just by reading scripture out loud constantly.
Well, we can't say for sure if that's what happened, but there is something called the placebo effect. It means that what we believe can have a real impact on our health.
So like her belief in those words could actually help her heal.
It's possible. Our minds and bodies are way more connected than we realize.
It's like that guy John G. Lake. He was a preacher and had those healing rooms back in the day. Said he healed people with some substance of the Spirit of God. Described it as a frequency or a vibration.
Yeah, people have been trying to heal with energy for a long time. Even today, there's all sorts of practices based on that idea.
So we've got healing. But then Trey says frequencies can also be bad. Like even demonic forces could use frequencies to influence us, make us think and do bad things.
Well, that's pretty out there, but we all experience negativity, right? And that can really mess with us mentally and emotionally.
True. It's like even without demons, negative frequencies can still be a problem.
Right. So it's like, how do we protect ourselves from that negative stuff? How do we stay positive?
Good question. And speaking of proof, Trey gets into some specific examples. First, he shows this thing called muscle testing. Two people hold the same symbol and suddenly their arms get weak.
Yeah, muscle testing. It's popular in alternative medicine, but there's actually a scientific explanation for it. It's called ideomotor response. Basically, our thoughts can unconsciously cause tiny muscle movements.
So it's like their minds are making their arms weak, not some frequency thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's kind of like that rice experiment he talks about too, right?
Yeah.
The one where rice exposed to negative words decays faster.
Right. But those experiments aren't really scientific. It's easy to accidentally influence the results.
Okay, so we need to be a little skeptical about that.
Definitely. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Yeah, fair enough. So we've got muscle testing and rice. Then Trey talks about this guy, Robert A.G. Gets this laser treatment that's supposed to, like, boost his energy using frequencies.
Well, light therapy does have some real benefits. Certain types of light can help with healing and stuff.
Interesting. So sometimes the science backs up what Trey's saying. Sometimes it doesn't. It's like science is catching up with ancient wisdom or something.
Yeah, it's a cool time to be alive, that's for sure.
And then Trey brings up Royal Rife, the Rife machine guy.
Right.
He thought you could use frequencies to kill diseases. I know it's controversial, but he had some success, right?
Ray's a tricky one. Mainstream medicine doesn't really accept his stuff. but there are people who believe in it.
He even shows a TEDx talk where this guy destroys a microorganism with frequencies. It's pretty wild to see.
Yeah, but one experiment doesn't prove a whole theory. We need more research to know if Rife was onto something.
Man, this is a lot. Healing, harm, ancient stuff, modern science. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
Right. But the key is to keep an open mind and think critically. Not everything we hear is true.
Okay, so how do we know what to believe? How do we sort through all this?
That's the big question, isn't it? And that's what we'll be talking about next.
Okay, I'm ready for more.
Me too. You know, thinking about all this stuff, what really sticks out to me is intention. Like Trey's mom speaking those scriptures or Mike Hughes wanting to walk again. Their belief, it's like it played a huge part.
Yeah, it's like their minds were saying, we're going to heal, sending that message to their bodies.
It's pretty amazing, right? Makes you wonder, if our beliefs are that powerful, how do we, use that for good? How do we create a mindset that helps us heal?
That's a big one. And it makes me think of those demonic frequencies Trey was talking about. What if all the negativity we're surrounded by, lowers our vibrations and makes us sick?
Well, demons aside, negativity definitely takes a toll. Think about how you feel after watching the news or hanging out with someone who's always complaining. It's draining.
Yeah, totally. And the rice experiment, even if it's not totally scientific, it makes you wonder. If words can affect rice, think about what they do to us.
Words are powerful, that's for sure. Think about how a kind word can make someone's day, or how a mean comment can really hurt. We got to be careful with our words and what we tell ourselves, too.
So if we want to raise our frequency, we got to be mindful of what we think, what we say, even where we hang out.
Exactly. And that's what draws people to those practices that Mike Hughes and Dr. Kaizen Frank talk about, right? Whether it's crystals or ancient rituals, they're trying to connect to something bigger than themselves, something positive.
Yeah, and Trey brings up all that Old Testament stuff, like the red heifer sacrifice and all that. It's like those ancient rituals are tapping into frequencies too, but in a different way.
People have always tried to understand those forces, to connect with something beyond this world for healing, protection, all sorts of reasons.
It's wild to think those ancient practices might have been onto something we're only now rediscovering with science. But let's jump to the more modern stuff, like Rife machines and laser treatments. Are they like a high-tech version of those ancient things?
Interesting comparison. I mean, both are trying to fix imbalances in the body, right? Even if scientists don't totally get Rife, there's more and more research into those kinds of therapies.
And remember that TEDx talk, the one where they destroy a microbe with frequencies? That was crazy.
Yeah, but we got to remember, one experiment doesn't prove everything. Still needs more research.
True. Makes you wonder, though. Are diseases like messed up frequencies in our bodies?
That's a cool way to think about it. We're just scratching the surface with all this frequency stuff. But hold on, let's not forget the darker side. Trey mentions this guy, Greg Byron. Thought he was being tormented by demonic frequencies, hearing voices and stuff. Well, whether it's demons or not, hearing voices is a real thing. We gotta be sensitive to that, People experience things differently.
It's like we all have our own frequency, our own way of seeing the world.
Exactly. And a lot of things can affect that. Genes, where you live, what happens to you, even what you believe.
So with all these different frequencies around us, good and bad, how do we, stay tuned to the good stuff? That's the big question, right?
It's a tricky one. I think it's about being mindful. Our thoughts, our words, where we spend our time, what we do, creating a positive environment for ourselves.
Like we're each conducting our own orchestra, but with energy.
Ooh, I like
right.
that. And we get to choose what instruments we play. Right, creating the music we want.
So we want a good life. We got to learn to play those good vibes.
Exactly. It's all about making choices that support us. And it's a journey, not a quick fix. Some days will be better than others, but the key is to keep practicing. Find what works for you.
Okay, so what about that Robert A.G. story? Muscle testing found a hookworm, and the solution was, jam. Sounds kind of crazy, right? Jam to fight parasites.
It's definitely out there, but who knows, maybe we can use frequencies to heal in ways we don't even understand yet.
And then Robert A.G. is standing in front of this red light. Trey says it's full of healing frequencies. Makes you think about light as medicine,
It's interesting how Trey connects ancient stuff like sunbathing with new tech like red light therapy.
It's like we've been using frequencies forever, just didn't know it.
Yeah. As we learn more about frequencies, I bet we'll find even more connections to ancient practices. But gotta be careful too. Just because something sounds cool doesn't mean it's true.
Totally. Got to be skeptical but open-minded.
Exactly. Ask questions, look at the evidence. Don't be afraid to change your mind if you learn something new.
That's important. Can't just believe everything we hear. We got to think for ourselves. But back to that idea of taking control of our own tuning, that's really powerful. If we can change our own energy, we can change our lives.
Yeah, it's like we can create our own reality with our thoughts, our beliefs, even our intentions.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we actually change our energy?
Well, I think it starts with paying attention, like noticing how you feel, your body, your mind, even those gut feelings.
Like learning to listen to our own internal signals.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out what makes you feel good, what makes you feel bad. Then you can start making choices that support the energy you want to have.
So it's kind of like what Trey was saying about guarding our gates, not just letting anything in.
Yeah, that's important. It's about setting boundaries, being mindful of what we watch and listen to, who we spend time with.
So what if you're stuck in a negative spiral, doom scrolling, bad news, just feeling down? What can you do?
Yeah. Lots of things. Meditation can help you get quiet, notice your thoughts. Spending time in nature is great too. And doing things you love, that's huge.
So it's about making a playlist for your life,
Yeah,
full of things that make you feel good.
exactly. You get to choose what you let in, and if something's bringing you down, you can always hit skip.
And crank up the volume on the good stuff.
Yes. It's all about making choices. And it takes time. It's not always easy. But the more you practice, the better you get at it.
This whole thing with frequencies has been like a total mind trip. I mean, it makes you realize we have so much more power than we think to change our lives just by changing our thoughts and beliefs.
It's pretty amazing, right? We're not just victims of circumstance. We can create the life we want.
So for our listeners who are ready to take charge of their own energy, what's the best advice we can give them?
Listen to yourself. Pay attention to what feels good, what lifts you up. Don't be afraid to try new things. You have everything you need to create a happy, healthy life.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for taking us on this deep dive. It's been wild.
It's been a pleasure. I hope everyone keeps exploring this stuff. There's so much to learn.
Yeah, and just like that pterodactyl swing at the end of Trey's video, this journey's full of surprises. So stay curious, everyone, and keep searching for those good vibes.